I could have run a very successful business with just 5 of my clients. Looking back now, maybe I should have done it differently.
Was it why you sold?
Oh, that's big time. I can consider going to go and do IT, but I'll pick 2 other friends who have similar skills to me and we'll start it together straight away.
So you are for getting a co-founder?
Straight away, from day one.
How have you been able to raise upright kids?
There are no perfect kids. So I was working, my wife was working as well, full time. And that meant we had other people looking after the kids. So that was not so good.
Both of them were on Australian Idol. How did you feel as a father?
Mixed feelings, because I was not worried I was going to lose her. I was more worried about what she may be exposed to.
Every startup needs early supporters. For us, that is you. Hitting that subscribe button is the easiest, totally free way to help us attain our goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers in the next 4 months. Now, in return, I promise to bring you the people, the tools, the insights, and mindset you need to level up as a CEO. No fluff, just real stuff you can use. Now, hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together. Welcome, Nigel, to this podcast. It's really an honor for you to be here today. I've really looked forward to today, and I'm glad we're having this conversation today. So, first, I'd like to get a bit of context for who Nigel is. Of course, Nigel didn't fall down from heaven. Nigel was born somewhere. I'd like for us to go as far back as possible from where you're born, primary, secondary, university, and how all of this have played a pivotal role in the person you've become today.
Okay, I will go back to my heritage, which is Nigerian, Jamaican. My dad is Nigerian. He was born and bred in Nigeria. He grew up, went to study pharmacy in the UK. He actually got his Bachelor of Pharmacy from one of the universities in Scotland, I believe. He met my mother, who also went to the UK from Jamaica. She's originally from Jamaica. She went to study nursing, and I think she finished in the UK, in London, and then went to work in Scotland, where she now met my dad. Of course, they dated, got married. 2 of my brothers were born in the UK. Then my family moved back, of course, got a good offer for a job. My father got a good offer for a job. My mother also worked in one of the largest hospitals in West Africa. And they moved back to Nigeria. My older brother was born, and next was me. So I'm number 4 in the family. Then, of course, I grew up in Nigeria, went to All Saints Church Primary School in Ibadan. Finished from there, went to Aberdeen College for 2 years.
What year was that?
I went to Aberdeen in 1981, if I am correct. Yes, 1981.
Okay.
And I did 2 years there, then transferred to Loyola College in 1983. I did 3 years plus another extra year because I failed my O-levels, miserably failed my O-levels, the first attempt in 1986. Then I repeated my O-levels, went to Atonda Continuing Education in Ibadan. Some of you might know where that is or who. Chief Atonda, I think that's the name of the guy who owned that Continuing Education Center. So 1987, I finished. I got my O-levels, passed with 2 distinctions and 4 credits, thank God. From there, I went and did 6 months of A-levels in international school, University of Ibadan, ISI. I didn't finish my A-levels because then I got entry into JAM. So got into University of, Obafemi Awolowo University. What was that, 1988? Yes, 1988. Got in there for chemistry, started studying chemistry. And that's where, interesting, I also then got saved, had my Christian encounter, my Jesus encounter, I want to call it, got saved there on campus. And at the same time, I also failed my exams, failed everything I went in there to do horribly. Second year, while I was in university, I got kicked out. And everything changed. My life changed, basically. I did nothing. After I got kicked out, I think I dropped out, probably would have been sometime in 1990. It was made official. Or was it 1989? Probably 1989 or 1990. Did nothing for 2 years or 2.5 years. Eventually, I was able to get admission into the School of Audio Engineering in Singapore, where I went to study audio engineering. It so happened that while I was studying audio engineering, the school I was in could not register me as a foreign student, so I had to then look for another school that could give me a visa to stay in Singapore to study. Then I enrolled in informatics computer school, and then so I was doing 2 diplomas at the same time. I finished the diploma in audio engineering after 15 months of enrolling, and I did my diploma in computer studies, got a Cambridge diploma, and also got a diploma from informatics computer school as well. Then I continued on in the IT studies. I got an advanced diploma, which then led to a graduate diploma in IT or computer studies or information systems. Then eventually, through distance learning in Singapore, I was able to get a degree, a Bachelor of Commerce with majors in information systems from Curtin University, Australia.
What was it like raising kids in Singapore? Well, when you compare that to, I guess, where we come from, Nigeria, Australia, and of course, Singapore.
Singapore is a very, I would say this, and I hope I don't get stoned by my Singaporean friends. It's a very safe country. The society is controlled. The instances of crime is very low. The likelihood that your kids will be wayward is very unlikely in Singapore because the government is very strict. The police, law and order is massive in Singapore. It's a very safe. I mean, they say there's no such thing as no crime in Singapore. There's just low crime because you do something wrong against the law, you get caught, you have to pay the penalty for it. That's no questions asked. So raising kids there, in a way, I would say the kids. I mean, my oldest daughter was 8 when we moved out of there. She was very sheltered in that kind of society. Now, it was so, in that area, it was very positive. And meanwhile, education, they're all big about getting good grades. And a lot of Singaporean parents are very, very, if I may use the word, selfish in making sure that their kids are high achievers academically. Sometimes they fail to then do that socially. They're very, you must go for your maths lesson and your English lesson and your Chinese lessons and this lesson and that lesson so that you're the best in class. They're very big on that. So in that area, we liked that, even though my daughter was going to an international school, but she got a lot of that same kind of impetus to be the best in school academically. One thing, though, was they both went to kindergarten, like a kindergarten school before you then go into primary school. And my kids were already learning Chinese. And whenever they wanted to do any presentation in school, they would choose the most conspicuous child who you would think this one definitely won't be able to speak Chinese to then do the announcements in Chinese. And it was like, so my two daughters, when they went through kindergarten, were always called to announce things in Chinese, and they spoke it very well because they were learning it. They've probably forgotten everything I've got videos to prove that they did it, and everybody be clapping, and so that was good for them at that time. Now, the downside of that was because I was so busy working, the job I had then, I was traveling every month all over the place, all over Southeast Asia. It was a regional kind of position. So I hardly saw them. I hardly spent time with them. Because you worked longer hours in Singapore, I think we used to start work at 8:30, finish at 5:30. You were out of the house longer. Then we had church activities the churches in Singapore, there was always at least 2 or 3 events every week that you had to be involved in. It then ended up, the kids were then brought up by domestic helpers. And to survive in Singapore, husband and wife needed to work full time. So I was working, my wife was working as well. And that meant we had other people looking after the kids. So that was not so good.
Did that impact their upbringing in any way?
Oh, that's one of the reasons why we thought, okay, maybe we need to change our lifestyle, migrate out of Singapore, migrate to Australia, where for the formative years of the kids, my wife would not be working. So that's one of the reasons why we made that decision to move to Australia. On the whole, my kids, if you ask my kids, where have they spent the most time outside of Australia, it's Singapore. That's where they remember as home. They've only spent about 3 weeks in Nigeria, believe it or not. They spend more time, of course, on holidays in the US, in the UK, and Singapore.
Your kids, they are pursuing. They've got skills, different skills, musical skills and stuff like that, and they are pursuing careers in music in one shape, form or the other. Is this a coincidence or was that intentional?
Okay, how can I put that? I would say this. I remember when my kids were young, babies, and there was always music around the house. Okay? I observed, I think Andrea, of course, was the first
when you say there was music, is that you got musical instruments or you just play music?
Music playing in the background.
Cool. Yeah,
music playing in the background. And, my wife is there mixing whatever she's going to give my daughter to eat. My daughter is sitting on the high chair. She hears music playing and she starts bopping. This is Andrea, my first daughter. And I'm thinking, she's got rhythm. Okay, and as young as 1.5 or 2 years old, she was we used to take her for rehearsals. Let me put this one. Because I think when Andrea was born, we didn't have any domestic help or anybody helping us to look after her because she was just the only one. And we used to drop her at daycare and all that, which also was a bit stressful. So whenever we went for rehearsals, because I played musical instruments, my wife sang as well, she would come along. So she was immersed in that music already. She was already listening. And then while the rehearsal is going on, you would hear her singing something and dancing around, trying to copy what she was hearing. That from that time we already knew, okay, this girl, she has an ear for music and she can hear, and she's trying to copy what she's seeing. Of course, the first instrument my daughter wanted to play was the tambourine, because we had a bunch of tambourine dancers back then in the church we were going to in Singapore. That's what we started seeing, the music being a part of their lives. Of course, the school Andrea went to, it just so happened that her first teacher, I think it was what you would call primary 1 or pre-primary, she was also a piano teacher. Very basic, and she was offering piano lessons to all the other kids. I was already playing piano in Nigeria, not as formally trained as I would have loved to. And of course, so I thought to myself, let us try her out. Let us see if she likes to play the piano. So she was exposed to that. She loved it. And she started learning how to play the piano. When we moved to Australia, as soon as we settled down, same thing, we got a piano teacher for her. And of course, her younger sister, we did the same thing, got a piano teacher for her as well.
So it wasn't a coincidence. It was part of the plan.
I won't say we planned it. We just...
So you saw her, like you said, she's got rhythm.
Yeah.
And
rhythm was the first thing I saw when she was 6 or 7 months. Yeah.
And so you essentially decided to harness that. So let's, I guess, groom her or in some way. Let's nurture this thing we'll see. We don't know what it is at the moment, but we're going to nurture it and see where it gets us to.
And you see, well, I would say kids watch their parents and they try to emulate them, as long as you're not forcing them. And I never, God is my witness, I never force my kids, oh, you must learn this piano, oh, you must, no. I just provided the avenue, and they liked it, and they enjoyed it, and they just continued to do it, which was the thing. For instance, like Amelia, my second daughter, she was in the car, sitting in the back, in the car seats, and I was playing music. I can't even remember whose song I was playing, but it was a very complex song with a very, very complex harmony. And I heard her singing the harmony, one of the harmony parts of the song. I'm thinking, my goodness, where did she get that kind of hearing and that kind of, to be able to pick up that harmony? But straight away, I thought to myself, yep, she's definitely going to be one who would be interested in music as well. And so when her sister was doing piano lessons, we also made sure she got involved in piano lessons when we moved here to Australia. Of course, when they're going through school, whenever they were asking for kids to join the choir, my kids would always put up their hands. Going to church, in the kids' church, they would want to join the choir or be part of the singing group. And you just see them, they're immersed in it so much. I know my first daughter may not agree that she enjoyed doing it. There was a time she said she didn't really like being dragged to church, but when she looks back now, she's very thankful she was dragged to church, and she was not, I mean, when I say dragged, she was not dragged.
Well, she was.
But it was very hard on them growing up, because we had to be the first people to get to church and also the last to leave, because that was what we were doing. We were the ones leading the worship. Thankfully, it was not every Sunday. It was maybe 1 week on, 1 week off. And as young as probably 8 or 9 when we needed people to sing. My first daughter was called on to come and sing. She did her tenure when Amelia got to the same age. She got called on as well. When Abim was old enough, he got called on to play the drums as well. So it's just, for Abim's one, I used to play in a band, and we were at a rehearsal. I was playing the drums. I got off the drums during one of the breaks to go use the toilet, and as young as 2, he got onto the drums and started playing exactly. Of course, his legs he couldn't even sit down, and he was trying to play what I was playing. I thought, oh my goodness, this guy has got drums in him. He definitely could hear the rhythm, and he knew what to play. Either maybe he was watching me, because he always used to sit and watch me, or it could also be that he just had a good ear for music. Of course, the minute I saw that, I told myself, if he's ever going to play drums, I'm not going to let him learn drums the way I learn drums. I'll get a good teacher to teach him correct sticking, correct rudiments of drums and all that. And as I think he was probably 4 or 5, I got him a drum teacher. Best decision I've ever made. Absolute best decision I ever made, because he learned the right thing. He plays drums effortlessly now because he learned the right way, the correct sticking as young as 5.
I've got a follow-up question. Now, just like your dad had wished for you to perhaps become a pharmacist, so you could take over his business. Yeah. So that would be you living your father's dreams. All right? Do you think your kids are living your dreams in that sense?
No, I never once pushed them to do it. I encouraged them. I provided the opportunities for them to do it. I would advise them and say, you actually have an exceptional gift. I would tell them, you actually have a very good voice. I would encourage them like you should with your kids. Just if you see something good in your children, encourage it out of them. If there's such a thing, encourage them to pursue that, and don't create any hostile environment for them to do it. Make them enjoy it and make them want to do it themselves.
Every startup needs early supporters. For us, that is you. Hitting that subscribe button is the easiest, totally free way to help us attain our goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers in the next 4 months. Now, in return, I promise to bring you the people, the tools, the insights, and mindset you need to level up as a CEO. No fluff, just real stuff you can use. Now, hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together. Both of them were on Australian Idol. More of Andrea, yeah. How did you feel as a father? For yourself and Auntie Dolakbo.
It was.
What was the feeling?
It was a very mixed feelings, because if I'm honest, I didn't like the Australian Idol part of it. I was like, why couldn't they get a different name for this thing? Come on, what's wrong with this?
So is it the name Idol or the meaning?
Yeah, the meaning Idol. I didn't want it to be that, but at the same time, she was pursuing a dream to just put herself. I think she was pursuing a dream to want to express herself musically and do it out there. Of course, in some circles, they were like, oh, why do you want to go and do secular music and all that? But,
I was going to come to that.
Yeah, but she chose to go that route. And, it was a very mixed feeling kind of thing. But at the same time, I knew she was going to learn a lot from that. So you give them your blessings and you say, we'll support you every way possible, which we did. And I'm sure she learned. I used to go along for some of the studio recordings, for the recordings of the show. And because I'm so musically inclined, I was going there with my feelers open. How is the production happening? What is the band doing? What is the sound guy doing? And I tell you, I learned a lot. Maybe I probably learned more than she did about good sound and how sound can be done properly. This whole stage production, the way everything was clockwork, the way they changed the sets in between this singer singing, and they will tell you they're going to have a 5-minute break and they would totally transform the thing. And I'm like, wow. If you want to see excellence, get involved with those kind of things, because I saw it and I thought, oh my goodness, these guys are so good. The sound in those halls was crisp. The quality, the speakers, the mixing, the changes in costumes, all that stuff was just, I learned a lot from that.
What role did you play in her getting on to that show?
Nothing.
So you just sat back and she did the application, did the auditions and everything?
Everything herself. The only role I played was that she used the studio to do the auditions and sent them through, and I had nothing to do with any of that.
Do you said earlier you had mixed feeling. Could part of that be you thinking you might lose her to the secular space?
No.
In quotes?
No. I would say for Andrea, because I knew her as a daughter, and she was a strong person and she had strong values as well. I was not worried I was going to lose her. I was more worried about what she may be exposed to. That may not always be.
What could those be?
Oh, just
secular music.
No, just the secular entertainment industry, which is not, even though I'd never been in it, I just knew it was not always a nice and kind and friendly environment.
You think she's strong enough to handle those?
Oh, she was. Yeah, and she did. She handled it very well.
I mean, she's still in the early stage. Oh, she's still getting. I mean, she's there now. I mean, she
didn't win.
She
didn't win or anything. So
yeah,
and that's one thing we prayed and said, Lord, let her go as far as you want her to go. And
did you have family, friends, anybody saying why would she do secular, and how was your reaction? What was your reaction to that?
I was actually shocked at everybody's reaction. When I say everybody, from church to friends, they were all rooting for her, and I'm like, oh, I was thinking you're going to come and reprimand me and say, why is she doing that? Everybody was rooting for her. I couldn't believe the response from the community, from the Nigerian community, from African communities, from people at work, people in church. It was massive. And I guess, in a way, some people didn't even know she sang that well. And when she went on the show, she then brought excellence to, I would say, a lot of even the African community and Nigerian community, that she wasn't just going there and, we have this joke in our house. You don't go there and sing with Eba mouth. You go and sing with real good. And she lived up to that standard. And, I'll say this as a very selfish father, but I know whenever my kids are called to do anything musically, that they have a standard and they would always meet that standard. I say that because I know they would, I know how much time they put into practicing. I know how much time they rehearse. I know how many times, like you were saying, they're singing in the house, and I'm like, oh, can they just keep quiet for a second? But I never once would go and say, please, can you just stop? Sometimes I'll say, oh, I need to make a phone call if I'm working from home or whatever it is, but nothing to ever press them down or say, oh, stop, can you just, no, none of that. I mean, sometimes my son will tell him, don't play so loud, but we don't say don't play. We'll still tell him to rehearse. I mean, he has a drummer. He would spend, I would say safely every single day, at least 1 hour on the drums. Every single day.
Back then or still today?
Well, he's not at home now. He's now on tour in Melbourne. But then that was how much he put into his craft. So that whenever he was called to then play, I knew he'd be able to deliver the goods. Whether it's in church or it's on a secular gig or wedding gig, they will hit the notes. They'll be able to produce the excellence. Even though she would tell you, Andrea would tell you sometimes, I was a bit pitchy. I'm like, oh, I can't hear it.
Has she ever complained about, I should ask it, yes.
Ask her.
Color of her skin has been an issue. Has she ever experienced
it? Was
subtle or direct?
In a way, sometimes, well, I guess maybe it's unspoken now because of the color of her skin. She's invited to come and do because they need somebody of color. And I know you know this. 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was very few of us of color on TV screens. I was telling my wife just yesterday, was it 2 days ago, every advert you see now on TV.
Black person in it?
You see a black person and white. There's like blended families and all this. I'm like, where was all that energy before? So I don't know whether it's like a token African skin.
Could it be ticking the box? Like they say we should have?
Yeah.
We'll have it.
Well, if that's what they meant it for, we're going to capitalize on that and make sure they would not forget this person that has come, not just as a token, but as an excellent token as well. And so, yeah, I guess she will be the best person to answer that question.
Okay, huh?
about whether she got a lot of negativity. Sometimes you would argue and say, oh yeah, she was better than that singer. How come she got knocked out? Was it pure voting? We don't know. And unless there's freedom of information that we can go and gather, we will probably never know. So that's
easy. Fair enough. Thank you. Business and entrepreneurship. Now, for you are obviously you're a sound engineer.
Yes.
You run PC Health Desk, which is an IT firm.
You used to.
We'll come to that. Yeah. And of course, you also run Sweet Sound Production. For entrepreneurs going into business, what's your take on courage? Now, I run a business myself, and I've heard a lot of people say they want to. But the struggle has always been, when do I jump the ship? So when do I quit, move away from A and get onto B? Now, between the moving from A to B, there's a void there. How do I feel that? I guess it requires a lot of courage to take that leap.
Yes.
What would you say to that?
And the courage is, well, you'd hear a lot of business gurus, as they're called now, tell you, don't take that leap until your business can start paying some of your bills. So which means, I'll give myself as an example. I was working at one of the universities here locally in IT, and I was running my IT business also on the side. And I say this before God and man, I only did it after hours. I did after hours and weekend work. So I was helping a lot of friends to do their IT, set up their medical practices and all that. And I was doing that part-time. It now so happened that there was a restructure in that university, and they made a whole department redundant. And they gave me a good payout. That was my between A and B incentive to say, if I've got this payout that was almost like a whole year of my salary, and I've got this business already running on the side, maybe I should try and pursue that business with this, because I had that cash to fall back onto. And it also just happened that when I then started running my business, a lot of other startup businesses needed IT, and they were ready to sign contracts from day one. So I would say it's another God thing. He just orchestrated, all the jigsaw puzzles came together and it just worked. And so that is that. But you hear a lot of people say, until you're sure you can feed your family to a large extent, or you can pay bills, don't just go headlong into business unless you are gainfully getting rewards from it. And I'm sure you can testify to that. You had other jobs you were doing when you started following your passions, to start with your cameras and recording and all that. So you were doing the two at the same time until it came to a point where you now
quit. Mine was a bit different though. So when I decided to quit, I've done quite a few things in this my little life. You understand? I got to a point where I decided, okay, now what would define me? What would define my legacy? You understand? And for me, that was 2019 when I decided, okay, no, I need to do something else that resonates with me, that I could do the longest. Because prior to then, I hadn't worked for more than 12 months in a place. I just kept moving jobs because I hate monotonous things. Like I can't do things and then it becomes... Anyway, so at that point, mine was an abrupt... So I just told the guys, look, I'm done. I'm leaving. I didn't have 1 year backup salary. It was crazy. It was mad. It was stupid. But what informed that was, so I wanted to do this before we had our first child. And of course, family comes commitment. You can't just madly jump out of job like that. And so as soon as I had that, I had this moment of deep reflection. Look, you have your first child now. You're going to have a second one, maybe a third one. And it will become harder to leave. Now that I can manage this, I need to opt out. And for me, that was the point I opted out. But then in opting out, I was like, because I didn't have a backup plan, I just put my car on the road. I started driving Uber.
So I would say that you actually had a backup plan. You actually had...
I didn't even plan. The Uber wasn't planned. It was, okay, now I'm here. Now what do I do?
But I'll say that as then, that means you still had two jobs. You were following your passion and you had something to fall back to. Well, not fall back to, but that was paying some of your bills.
It was just enough to buy...
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the same thing as having a day job. And I'm sure before you quit your so-called day job or whatever you were gainfully employed in at that time, you already were doing your cameras
on the side, yeah.
So you had to start. Some people would say, "Oh, I want to start doing that," and then they've not even started doing it yet. They've not even put their feet in the water to even test the waters yet, and they just say, "I want to do that. I have a passion for that." But you were already taking bookings. You were already doing little events here and there, and then you decided, "I think I love to go down this path," and then you went down that path.
So, if I understand what you're saying, before you take that leap, so before you go from your A to relying on your B, you might want to consider starting your B as a side after hours weekend gigs. And that would probably test in the waters and then see if, because for me at the time, I was doing this as a side gig, and the evaluation I did at the time was if I was giving this less attention and it was giving me this much, not a lot of money, but at least something I could, if I give it the whole of my time, it will probably give me much more. And that was the calculation. So I guess for those listening, it would be test the waters. This is what you want to do. Start after hours and weekends, a side gig, whatever, and see how that flows. If you something you love and you think you can sustain it long term, then maybe, just maybe, you can take that leap and figure it out as you go.
And even that actually even happened for me. So after I was made redundant in the university, I actually got a part-time IT job. So I got a job where I was working 4 hours a day for 4 days a week, just to have some kind of income. Even though I had that money put away that I used to, I could fall back onto that money. But then I got a part-time job. I was doing that part-time job in IT, and I was also servicing my clients in IT. I was signing on clients who needed somebody to be managing their IT, as in nobody else was managing their IT except me. So I had 2 or 3 businesses that had a startup at that point. So I was doing that. As my own business started growing, I told the people that I was working with part-time that, okay, now my business is going, I'm going to have to quit from doing this IT for you guys. But then they liked what I was doing so much. They straight away told me, why don't you also then take us on as one of your clients? And I'm thinking, oh, really? And overnight, from one day I was working part-time with them to the very next day, they were my biggest client, just like that. And that was because I was trying to do both of them, and it was perfect fit. It then meant I didn't always have to be full-time there. They were not paying my salary. They were now paying my invoices for the services I was giving to them as a business, and gave me better buying power, gave me better focus. I was able to do what I was doing more effectively and more productively as well.
Beautiful. Now, you used to run PC Help Desk, which is a managed services company.
Yeah, managed services provider. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Every startup needs early supporters. For us, that is you. Hitting that subscribe button is the easiest, totally free way to help us attain our goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers in the next 4 months. Now, in return, I promise to bring you the people, the tools, the insights, and mindset you need to level up as a CEO. No fluff, just real stuff you can use. Now, hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together. How many clients did you have at the time? There's probably be a few drop off.
I had about
at the peak
35. I had about 18 that were on a retainer every month that were paying my bills very well, and I had about 70 on my books.
How was it running this just by yourself?
Stressful.
Was it why you sold?
Oh, that's big time, because it's IT. I tell people back in those days when I started doing IT, when I started doing it part-time before I even started running the business full-time, medical centers as an example, we had one software that we installed on the server, and that was it. Everything else was still done by fax. You still received, medical results by fax. You submitted results or you requested results by fax. Everything was still old school. Then slowly, they started installing more software on the servers. We started doing electronic results, electronic requests. Then they started having booking systems that were integrated with the web. A lot of things changed. The landscape of IT changed massively in the 9.5 years that I was running it. And, sometimes trying to explain that to clients, they didn't understand. I'm like, look at your server. I could buy you a small computer, put it there, and it could do everything. But now I can't. I have to give you a full-fledged server. Make sure your firewall is up to date. Make sure it's secure. Make sure there's, not just open to the public. Make sure there were so many things. Then we never heard of anything like hacking. Over the years, even the biggest companies were getting hacked. So it was big. It was becoming a different playing field altogether.
Couldn't you have scaled and getting more people? So why didn't you?
I probably didn't want it.
Why?
Because
if you had 70 clients at peak, with scaling and getting more people, you could have perhaps...
Scaling was one thing. Getting good staff and keeping good staff was one thing. Raising your fees was another big thing. I guess my wife would always make fun of me. If you could do this thing for charity, you'd be doing it for charity. Because I was probably, looking back now, maybe I should have done it differently. And if I was ever to go back and do that, I would do it so differently. I'll do it so aggressive. People would be like, oh my goodness, this is the same guy. I would start up at a premium. I looked at my business model. Now I can, they always say hindsight is 2020. I looked at my business model. I could have run a very successful business with just 5 of my clients. I'll pick 5 of the ones who never questioned IT, never questioned their IT spend, were willing to spend money, and were also nice clients to have. I could have run a successful business on just 5 of them, and I'll get rid of all the other ones. But of course, that is very dangerous as well, because if one of those 5 leaves, then you're in trouble financially. You're really going to start aching. But looking back, I could have run it lean and mean. And that's the thing about when you're running a business, you need to be able to not be in the business to run the business. I was also the one doing the business.
You were the business.
I was the business as well. And, just before we started this, you were talking about where you have a certain level of quality that you give and that only you can give because of the way you do things. Even in the company that I then merged with, I went with one of my supervisors to go see a client. And this client was not even an African. Well, he's a Kenyan guy, but he's an Indian Kenyan guy. And my supervisor was saying, the way I went into the room and the way I was talking to the man was so different from the way he would have approached it. And he could see the interaction, the way everything I was saying, the client was like, okay, Nigel, thank you very much for that advice. And that's just the quality I give, which is I'm not just here to make money off you. I'm here to make sure your IT stress becomes my IT stress so that you don't have to, you're a medical doctor, you do your job as a medical doctor. And I will do my job as an IT person. Now, which is where I go back to some of my clients didn't appreciate that. They would question, some clients would question every single invoice, and I thought, why would I waste my time with you? So those kind of struggles was what I had. Looking back, if I had enough, if I could take a month off running my business at that time to just say, okay, what am I trying to achieve? What am I doing? What is this? I could have maybe made some changes that would have been massively different.
How many years did you run PCL Dex for?
Full-time 9.5. Before that, I was running it for about, I've been in Australia now about 18 years I've been in Australia. I would say 16 years altogether.
So let's go from full-time.
14, yeah.
So full-time, 9.5. That was what year to what year?
December 2013 till December 2022.
Any regrets?
Oh, no, of course not.
Selling?
No, I don't. Honestly, the stress level, because, okay, and maybe that just speaks of my character. I was very worried that, okay, I would set up a server, set up everything for a client, and if something failed, they were not able to do their work the next morning because they had been hacked or the server failed, hardware failure, and all that kind of stuff. That used to give me a lot of stress. Which, stress is stress. But how much stress do I want to... I couldn't go for holidays. Let me just tell you that straight away. I couldn't say, okay, I'm going to go away for 1 month and I'm just going to turn off my phone and I wouldn't want anybody to be able to contact me. I couldn't do that because the success of their businesses relied on me being available to fix problems. There was a time, I actually did it. I teed up with some other small business owners like myself, IT guys, and I say, look, I'm going to be away on holidays. If anything goes wrong, please they will call me and I'll call you to help me look at the problem. So I had guys I could call on like that. But my mind was still never on holidays. Never.
Is this a thing with small business owners and solopreneurs? Because oftentimes, I guess it is the same problem, you know?
No, but you see, maybe, and I wouldn't say I understand totally, but mine is a service industry where I have to be constantly servicing.
Because they are relying on you for their business to stay alive. Business. Yeah.
If you want to see an angry doctor, go to the doctor who can't log in to see his patient's records. The patient is sitting there across the table from him, to want to see the results of the test they did 2 weeks ago of an illness that is quite critical. And he cannot see the results to then recommend the next treatment because his server is down. Thank God, I only probably experienced that once or twice. And I saw how impactful what I was doing was. And I told myself, I don't want to put my clients in that kind of position where I need to go on a holiday, but I cannot go, or I've gone and I don't want to respond to you because...
Essentially, you sacrifice your holiday and a whole lot for your clients.
Because, and that was... I want to say this humbly, but that was where my passion was, to see them succeed and not have any issues when they're running their business. And so that's where
that must have been a lot.
Sorry?
That must have been a lot.
Oh, it was.
Realizing you can't take a break. Pretty much you travel with your work everywhere you go.
And I'll say that because unlike your business where if, for instance, you told yourself, okay, I need to take 6 weeks off and I'm not going to accept any bookings, you can do that. But of course, that also means you're not going to have any income. So you might take the risk of accepting bookings and rely on other people to do the jobs for you, which it would work, but it may not be at the standard or the quality that you would want it to be. So that's the risk you are ready to take. I didn't even have, I still say this. I remember I was running my business. I went for a sister-in-law's wedding. I was in Italy. My sister-in-law had organized a ferry ride from Napoli to, where were we going to now? Where's the name of this town? In Italy. I was about to step onto a ferry, literally, and one of my clients calls me. And what does he say? I know you're on holidays, but I just thought I should ask you this question. How is that fair? But that was just the way
Did that stop you from getting onto the ferry? Did that stop you from getting onto the ferry?
Oh, no. I still got onto the ferry. But can you imagine how your mind...
disturbing that would have been.
I had to walk away from everybody. Thankfully, the ferry had been delayed. So I was able to walk away and I just say, okay, please call my colleague who I sent. I would normally tell everybody I'm traveling. This is the person to call while I'm away. He'll be able to address your issues. If he can't, he will be able to find me to help him address the issues. But he just said, I know you're on holidays. I'm going to call you anyway. And I'm thinking to myself, this is very interesting. Thankfully, a year after that, I sold my business. And for the first time in my working life, for the first time,
took a break.
I took a 1 month holiday. Even when I was working in the university I was working for, I never disconnected totally. But for the first time, I totally disconnected.
How did that feel?
Oh, my goodness, liberating.
Did you go with the family or just yourself?
Just my wife and I traveled for 1 month.
I'm sure she must have been the happiest.
Sorry?
She would have been the happiest.
She was happy. And people who even saw me after that thought, oh my goodness, you look different. For 1 solid month, they didn't call me for anything. Because, of course, when I had merged with this other bigger company, I gave them connections to, as in basically they had all the passwords and all the details, all the procedures, documentation and all that. And of course, the colleague that I brought with me from my company to be merged with this other company, she had enough information to know what needed to be done if I was not there. So that was massive.
How did your clients react to this merger or these buyouts? Because I'm sure they would have been getting, in quotes, premium service from you. I believe we still get from the new company, but maybe not personalized. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the colleagues in the new company, they said this thing that Nigel used to provide IT concierge service, where anything and everything I could do for them, anywhere as well. So their kids have a problem with their laptop that they're using for their schoolwork. Oh, no problem. I'll come home and come and help you sort it out. Or he cannot work from home. I'll be there. Oh, when can you come? Oh, I have a rehearsal. I'll be done at 9:30. Is it okay if I come at 10? Oh, no problem. Come at 10 o'clock p.m. And I did that without batting any eyelids. So that's the first thing some of them started noticing, that I didn't want to do that anymore because it had a toll on my life and everything else. I mean, I used to run upgrades for clients just so that it was convenient for them. I would run their upgrades to their servers overnight. Some particular clients, they finish seeing patients at 9:30 p.m. because they had an after-hours service. The doctor doesn't leave until 11 when he has finished all his case notes and done everything and closed all his accounts. I drive in at like 10 to 11, and I'm there till sometimes 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, upgrading their server. So that when they come in the next morning, everything is running like as if nothing happened.
So how is that being managed currently?
First of all, we tell them you're going to have an after-hours charge. And they're like, oh, he didn't used to do that before. Well,
did they leave?
Some of them did.
What's the percentage?
I would say 30% of them left because of that, which in a way you see that and you think, Well, I'll tell you other thing. Like I told you earlier on, a lot of those businesses we started together. So I was a small IT company. They were a small practice, and we grew together. But then, in a way, they wanted to continue growing, but you stayed the same way, which is a bit very unfair. And I made it known to them. I said, I remember when you were just one doctor and I was one IT person, and I'm trying to grow with you, but you don't want me. It's like as if you don't want me to grow. Of course, they'll mumble and say, oh, but you're becoming very expensive. And I'm like, yeah, I have to be more expensive if you want me to. And that's the other thing. One of the reasons why I even sold my business was people wanted me to be responding quickly to every one of their problems. But there's only one of me, and I can only be in one place at one time. I got a very good colleague who was able to pick up phone calls. She was able to solve very, very nitty-gritty problems, issues, and stuff like that. So that helped. I got a few part-time people, and oh my goodness, I went through about 7 part-time staff members who I was able to train how to do things, and they were able to be at places that didn't need my expertise. So that helped me as well. You're right. I could have scaled up. It would have been hard to do it, and I guess I probably
just got tired and got fed up, and there's something else.
Yeah. Well, because they will always tell you, if you're going to hire, your first hire should be somebody better than you in business, which means somebody who knows what you know and probably even more. And if possible, let that person, and like especially in IT, looking back, if I was going to do it again, I'll do it straight away. I will always I make that joke because my guys in my office will now ask me, would you ever go and do IT? I said, yeah, I will. I can consider going to go and do IT, but I'll pick 2 other friends who have similar skills to me, and we'll start it together straight away.
So you are for getting a co-founder?
Straight away, from day one.
Didn't you consider that when you were running your sketches?
I did, and I had good friends, and I didn't want to tarnish that good friend relationship. That's where the danger is. So it's you have to understand your friend. You have to understand both your work ethics and your technical ethics as well. If you find somebody that is very good technically, and you know this person has a passion to just do tech, bring him aboard. You come work with him. You can pick up the slack when he's on holidays, and you go and do all the marketing and you do all the client relationship, which I believe is one of my strong points. That I'm a relational person. I'll call the client, do you want a coffee or tea before I come into your office? I'll bring you this, blah, blah, blah. I like doing that. I want to know what's happening in their families. Are their kids finished in school yet? And is that person started driving yet? Or how often do you see them at home after this? Just relational, because as much as we are doing business, you want people to know you're not just there to make money off them. You are family. I mean, one thing I always used to say, which one of my colleagues in my new company picked up, that when I say we need to upgrade the server, I would say we need to upgrade our server, which means our server. And I think maybe that's an African thing. That when our internet is not good and they're looking at, what are you talking about? Do you mean your business internet? I'm like, no, I'm referring to your your business because I'm seeing myself as part of that family. And the truth is, a lot of those doctors, whenever they were having their staff Christmas parties, they used to invite me because they saw me as very integral to their business. Even the way I related to their staff was.
Some of this issue you did mention about, being called to come do stuff after hours and not getting paid, saying you charge too much. Yeah. Is that particular with, I don't know if it's right to say it, but I would say it anyway. Is it particular with African doctors or
yes?
I know you have Caucasians and other clients you had as well. So is it particular with one set of doctors or is it general?
No, I would say.
And is it also because they know you like our own person?
Some Africans would, to be fair to a lot of African clients that I had, if I did a home visit, they would say, please send an invoice. But then I would also look at the package I was offering them during the day and whatever they were paying me during the month. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm only doing this home visit once in 4 months or once in 5 months or once a year, I'll let it slide. Because they were paying me well monthly. Which is
nice guy.
Which is what I said. I had 5 good clients that I could keep and run the business successfully. So I would not even think twice about charging them. But there are the other clients where every item on my cheap hourly rate, they were questioning. And it's just, I guess, maybe I was just, I don't want to use, maybe I can use that word, burnt out. But at the same time, I'm glad I did. If I was honest, because IT is a very hostile environment. We know the big banks were getting hacked. The big telecoms people were getting hacked. It was like nobody was spared. And I didn't want it to be because I didn't have time to go and check everybody's security. Then one of my clients.
And each time they go hacked, the hammer gets onto the IT guys because you should know.
Exactly. So now I've got, instead of just me, I've got 5 pair of eyes looking at business security. And in the company I'm working for now, we've got another 110 engineers looking as well, who have ideas, who have varying skill sets and all that. So it's, instead of me being a one person, I've got a massive team that would share the load and share the responsibility of doing.
How much are you paid?
Sorry, how much am I paid? Yeah.
A lot. Let's put brackets. So 1 million to 10 million.
Oh, I wish. I wish.
Okay, let's say lower. I'll put brackets, just a yes, no. So 100 to 300?
Yes.
Okay, good, easy, beautiful. Burnout, you did mention burnouts. I see burnout as a major issue when you run a business. And I've had a few friends run businesses and they close. And we all will experience it. And I see that as a sort of stress, not being managed properly. And of course, client expectations as well. How would you advise a businessman or a solopreneur like myself, or pretty much anyone watching this show? Because there are a lot of small businesses in Perth. And oftentimes I've seen that as a major issue. One of the reasons why people are not even willing to get into business is burnouts, because at some point you will get there. It's then how you manage it. Yeah. How did you manage burnout, apart from selling and walking away?
Well, I would say, which is what I said, start your business with someone as good as you or even better than you. As soon as you get to that point where you want to start scaling, do that. If you cannot do that, be ready to spend time training people and train as much as people will always say, oh, I don't want to train them, and then they leave. I trained people, oh my goodness, I've probably trained about 7 or 8 people who then, because I couldn't afford to pay them a full-time salary, and I told them from day one, I'm going to show you the ropes, and please, the day you find another job because you need a 5-day-a-week kind of job, and because you have a growing family or whatever it is, make sure I'm not the last person to know. Just tell me, I will be the reference, and God is my witness. People have called me for reference checks, and I've given glowing references for people I've trained up, and people ask me, why are you letting this person go? Because I can't give him 5 days worth of work, and I want to see them move on to the next stage in their career, and they go. So always hire people. If you cannot hire somebody as good as you, whoever you hire, make sure you train them so that they relieve you of that stress.
Every startup needs early supporters. For us, that is you. Hitting that subscribe button is the easiest, totally free way to help us attain our goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers in the next 4 months. Now, in return, I promise to bring you the people, the tools, the insights, and mindset you need to level up as a CEO. No fluff, just real stuff you can use. Now, hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together.
I've taken over IT support from, I think, 2 IT guys, Aussie guys, as in true blue Aussies, who literally just walked away from the business. They got so stressed and so burnt out. They just literally, one guy, I remember one of the doctors, they tried to call him. He was not picking up his phone. He went to Karatha or somewhere far away, or Exmouth. He just walked away from it because he just couldn't take it anymore. And mental health was an issue for him. He just absolutely, and I thought, wow, is it that stressful? Looking back now, I could see why they got to that stage. And literally, when the guy finally showed up again, okay, give us the passwords, give us access to this, he was able to do that. But literally, they walked away because it was overwhelming. I can see
How
why.
do we avoid it? Apart from get there. So, I'll go back to the point you did mention. So, apart from getting co-founders and all of other stuff, could it also be we aren't managing client expectations appropriately? So client expects to be heaven and be the Lord and their Savior and everything. When in actual fact, it's just you. You understand? You cannot do more than what you can do. And do we promise so much and then we can't deliver and then that then becomes a problem?
And that's another thing also. How can I put it? I don't know if it's a pride thing or it's a selfish thing where you want to be I guess that's why you get into business also. You want to be the answer to everybody's IT problems. So you get upset when they don't consult you for their IT problem, which is a valid, I mean, if somebody tells you, I'm going to have a birthday party and I'm not going to get any video coverage, and then they invite you as a guest and you're there and you're like, there's nobody taking videos. Why didn't you tell me? You would probably get upset and say, why aren't you covering this event? Is it because I was going to charge you? So you have that passion in a way to say, why didn't you just tell me? And then we could have worked something out. You have that issue. I used to have that issue also as an IT person, that why didn't you just let me know you were going to set up this practice? You have gone and done your renovations. You didn't even put any network points in the walls. Why didn't you call me? This is what I do, and those kind of things. So you're passionate about what you do as well. And that's where you feel you're the savior, but you shouldn't be the savior. And I guess the premium service is where, when you get to that level where you're becoming a premium service provider, you also need to start charging premium prices. It's a non-negotiable.
Beautiful. Thanks.
That.
I wanted to ask this question. This was Joseph's question. All right.
Oh, Joseph, finally.
Okay. Yes. I've had a few questions I asked from him, but I just remembered he particularly asked this. Music, so Sweet Sound Production, which is your sound, audio production company, yep. And the IT, which is now obviously a subset of, I don't want to mention the company's name, the other company, which one is you? All right. Which one is more of a hobby? I know they are all work, but if you were to put these two in the bucket and which one resonates? Which one is me? Which one is a true reflection of the person I wanted to be and the person I am today? Which would that be? Is it IT or sound?
Sound and the music space, big time.
So you rather be sound, enjoy music, and
big time. And I would say people should watch this, and this is how you probably know where your passions are. If you take someone who's an artist who draws to an art gallery, when they walk in there, they look at the first painting and they're there looking at it for like 5-10 minutes. They've seen something different. Okay? My wife sometimes will spot this, and even my kids will tell you, if I'm walking, we're going somewhere and I see a band playing, I'll say, hey, stop. Let's hear the music. Let's just watch, because I love music and I want to see what's happening there. I want to see the quality of the sound. I want to see how the guy is playing his instrument, how he's interacting with his audience. I'm very.
So you're not just listening for entertainment.
Oh no. I listen for entertainment, which
but much more than entertainment, because I guess you're a positive critic. So let me listen.
Yes.
And understand what this guy is playing and analyze.
Yes. I'll tell you this. This was back in the 90s. I went on holidays to the UK to visit my brother who was living there then. And in a tunnel, you see this a lot in the underground train system in London. Somebody's there busking, playing a saxophone. And they stay in a place where the sound is so good because of the reverb and the echo you'd hear. And I'm walking towards that. And because I love what this guy is playing, I'll stand around and listen because I appreciate what he's doing. And I like where he's chosen to stay because he has and then I was not even chasing any audio engineering dream then. But I used to be attracted to those kind of things. I used to tell myself, my goodness, that's where my passion is. So one of the passions I have also is like public speaking. So whenever I see or hear, I'll go for conferences, IT conferences or audio conferences, or I'm in church. I'm listening to how the message is being delivered, how people speak, people who speak unprepared. Sometimes I'll watch the news and watch politicians when they're asked crazy questions, the way they respond off the cuff, and I'm like, wow, these people are fantastic orators. And I try to cultivate that kind of would you call it gift or attitude, or to be able to speak and convey your message and be very, very convincing when you share your message. The same thing with my music. When I'm listening to people out there busking, playing the guitar, that's very good. The way they interact with their crowd, you go for a concert, and I've been for a lot of concerts, both in the church and outside the church, and you just see how people communicate with their audience, the way they get their audience attracted. I mean, one of the things that my kids always say is you read the room, and I do DJing on the side at parties, and you're there, you're DJing. There's the room is feeling dry, and nobody's really dancing. And you now see this person that you remember. Oh, when I played this song at this other person's party, that person got very excited. You put that song in, and that person gets excited, and before you know what is happening, people want to join in the excitement. And so you read the room, you read what is going on, which is why I'm one person, even though sometimes I like to follow a script, I like to go off script as well. Because if you're sharing something like you telling me about this interview, I didn't prepare anything. Because just let it flow, conversation, just let it come out of I've seen people who would probably come to something like this with a list of what they're going to say. I find that boring sometimes.
Absolutely. For someone has asked me someone asked me, can you send me the questions? One of the people I've scheduled. Like, look, it's not an interview in quote, and it's not any political stuff where you need to be fact checked. It's just a conversation about life and normal things. So I want a genuine conversation. We're not coming to ask you about anything. But one thing I picked up from that conversation, from what you just said, it's earlier you did mention passion, or the passion for this and passion for that, and how you see things and how to identify. So my question now would be in quick succession. My question would be, how would you advise someone wanting to go into a space, be it IT, audio, photography, and they don't yet know what space to get into? Okay, maybe I'll put it this other way. Would it be fair to say understanding your passion first could be a key way to first identifying if pursuing, in quotes, a music career would be good for you, or career in photography, or sound, or any of this stuff? Does passion has anything to do? Does this have anything to do with all of this?
Sometimes you need to probably sit down and just reflect on your life. Is one thing I would say. What are the things that got you excited, even as a kid? Just ask yourself, what were the things? I mean, I remember very well, even in Nigeria, which was very rare, if a neighbor was having a party and they were setting up the sound for the party, I would be attracted to the guy going hello, because music was there. Just as a young child, I remember that. And you know how that kind of stuff, kids are attracted to noise and or something happening that is different in the environment. And that was my passion. And I would say, if you can see or you're sensing that you have a passion in particular, start pursuing it. Start chasing, if I may say, try and get experience in that area, and then see whether you really have a passion for it or not. Or is it just, I want to be like Emmanuel, or I want to copy Nigel, Don't do things because somebody else is, the biggest mistake you can make is say you're going to do something because you saw that person do that thing and making a lot of money from it, whereas you have zero passion for that thing.
Cool.
That's not good.
I'll go back a bit and then I'll come back to some of my summaries. Structuring your business for sale. So I understand from this conversation, the sale was an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like it was all planned.
No.
It just happened. Now, was there anything particular that you did that made it easier for you to sell? So I'll say, for instance, oftentimes I do ask myself, did I decide to move away from this? Would I be able to sell it to somebody to continue? And if possible, would there be something that would prevent me from doing that? Maybe the structure of the business, or the way I've documented stuff, or how I've kept my finances, any of this stuff. Now, from your experience, when the time came, what were the things they were looking out for that you did right? Make it short, quick.
Big thing, recurring revenue. I had recurring revenue because the first thing the buyers wanted to know was there anything that they could bank on that was going to be recurring every month? And I had invoices to prove this is how much this client pays me every month. This is how much this one pays me. So straight away, and I think they even did a multiple of that recurring revenue was what they paid me for my business. Because that's the first thing anybody wants. What value are you going to add to our business? Yeah. Now, thank God that a lot of the IT has changed to managed service providers. In those days, it was your computer spoils, I'll fix it for you. Bye-bye, see you later. Which is not recurring revenue. If the computer doesn't break, nothing happens. But now because IT is also very hostile, you need to keep things secure, you need to keep things updated. There's always new software releases that the people who run businesses don't want to be bothered with that. So because of that, there was that recurring revenue model, and that was the first thing that attracted the other people to my business. Of course, I had systems in place. I had documentation. I had trained. I had a colleague who knew a lot about the way the business ran, the names of the businesses. And so there was systems in place. I could write a cheat sheet on how to do something, very technical, but anybody who can read and write would be able to follow it step by step to do the same thing. And that was a huge success point as well. I had a lot of my clients' systems documented, so that's why I was able to take that 1 month off, because I had all those processes and procedures that I could hand over to somebody else.
Did you document it for yourself, or you documented it for the purpose of training other people?
I know you know about this guy. What's his name now? Dale Beaumont? I think that's his name.
Dale Beaumont. I know him.
Yeah.
We attended
the training
together.
That thing he had.
Yeah.
Where he says, if you're going to do this thing you're doing now another time, then you document it. So if I'm never going to have to do the same step again, you document it. There's a lot of things that you do in IT where you do it once and you don't have to do it again for another 2 years. But then I was discovering I was doing something today for client A, and I needed to do it again for client B in 3 months' time. And I had to think, how did I do that thing? So the minute I started getting to those, I started documenting, because in a way, one size fits all. I did it for client A, and I'll just repeat the same thing, rinse and repeat, basically.
So it was basically for you?
For me and my colleagues as well. One thing also I did, which I believe was very good, if I bought server A for client A, firewall A for client A, and software A for client A, and I knew that worked, and I knew how it worked, I just repeated the same thing on all the other clients, which meant I would not settle for a client who came to me and says, I want you to build my server, rather than go and buy a known brand server. I know the known brands would last. They've got warranties. Their hardware is sophisticated. It would not fail. That also helped me, even when I was going to sell the business. When I told them a lot of the servers, no, not a lot, every server you're going to deal with is 3 known brands. You're not going to get anything out of this. That was, basically they knew they were buying quality rather than problems. Yeah.
What would you consider your greatest impact in life?
My greatest impact. In what way? To myself or to others?
Personal.
God. Jesus. As in, every step of the way. When, like I told you, that lecturer told me when I was kicked out of university, every stumbling block has been a stepping stone. I look back and I say, oh my goodness, I made a mistake in this area. But hindsight, it was not a mistake. It was God's grand master plan. And because of that, I probably have been bold to take a lot of crazy steps, even though sometimes I look back and I say, why did I do that? Why didn't I mean, like when I was made redundant, I keep asking myself, why didn't I just go and find another job, full-time job, and keep the money stashed away? But I wanted to try this thing and be able to have this conversation that I've done it before, and I can advise other people to don't make the same mistakes I made and do it better. And if I'm going to start another business, and I know one day I'm going to start another, I mean, I'm dabbling into all sorts of things now, I would do it so differently. I would have different game plans. So impact, I want to be a positive influence on everybody around me. I want to be able to help. And that's one thing I've always, I can't remember who shared it. I went for one of these seminars a long time ago that said, if you find something that can be useful to somebody else, like for instance, if I go to a conference and I see a camera that they say you can be in your bedroom and you can turn it on and you'll be able to record, you don't have to be there. If I see that, I'll want to come and tell you, hey, Emmanuel, have you looked at this thing before? Why don't you consider this? And I'm very good, maybe I should not say that, but I like to do that to empower other people to succeed in whatever area. I mean, you know, one of the guys who worked with you, I was interviewing for my IT job, and I asked him what are his hobbies, and he told me, oh, he's into photography. Oh, I know this guy. I was hiring to do IT job, but I was already telling him where he could then use some of his hobbies to follow his passion. Because I believe in empowering people that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I've got this question for you. You've talked about you're dabbling into quite a few other things. What next?
Oh, gosh. Trade secrets.
I wouldn't let that go easily.
No. I'm looking into all sorts. Like, there's a lot of untapped areas in the audio engineering space, in concerts, music events. There's a lot of untapped areas. I even feel sometimes, and I'm saying this humbly, when I see young kids who are younger than my kids and I see talent in them, I walk over to their parents and I tell them, this is what you should do, A, B, C, D, because this kid has this talent. I feel even that I can start helping people to identify talent and bring it out of them. And even, I remember one of the young Nigerian kids, same age as my son, playing soccer. They were playing together. I could see how good that kid was. And I went to the father. I said, that kid, you better support him. If he ever wants to pursue a career in soccer, encourage him. I know probably the father saw that also in his son. That kid is now in the UK pursuing soccer full time. Because I saw that. And I just believe that's another one of the impacts I can make to call out, I say this humbly, to call out greatness from people. If you see they're very good at it, encourage them to do it and do it well.
Quick questions or quick answers.
Yep.
What has been the most challenging period in your life?
Every day.
There must be one particular thing you remember, like this one almost broke me.
No, it's trying to run a business. And I'll tell you, I was running a business. And I'll give you this as an example. Your business turnover, your income on the business is $30,000 a month. Okay? You need to buy, you've been given a project to set up a server and 10 computers for a client, and that project is going to cost $50,000. There's no way you might be able to pay the $50,000 up front, and you're thinking to yourself, how are you going to make this work? You approach the client and tell them, okay, please can you pay 50% deposits? A client who has never worked with you before, they have to trust that you will then deliver what the 50%, those kind of struggles that you're thinking, how am I going to make this work? Because in my kind of industry, there's hardware involved, there's software involved, there's equipment involved. So there's that struggle and there's that stress, and you're hoping the client is not going to run off and not pay you the remaining 50%. So there's monetary issues. there's also the issue of, would I be able to even do it well? Would I be able to do it to the standard that they want? And honestly, I'm sure if someone came over to you and said, the Prime Minister of Australia is coming here, we want you to cover the event, and we need 5 cameras, you're going to be thinking, oh my goodness, where can I get the 5 best guys to do this for me? Because when you want to give them that quality, and you know that quality is going to change the way you do business. That's one thing I would always, if I needed to go and get help from other IT companies.
Every startup needs early supporters. For us, that is you. Hitting that subscribe button is the easiest, totally free way to help us attain our goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers in the next 4 months. Now, in return, I promise to bring you the people, the tools, the insights, and mindset you need to level up as a CEO. No fluff, just real stuff you can use. Now, hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together.
I would straight away stuff my pride, and I'll go and meet them and say, look, I've got this big job. I've never done anything like this before. Please help me. And I did that in some big jobs that I did, which was like $60,000 worth projects, and game changer.
Beautiful. What's the strangest job you've done?
Strangest? What do you mean by strangest?
I'll give you an example. So one of the guys I interviewed, I had a conversation with, said one of the strangest he did was working in a recycle bin, in a recycle bin facility. Mm-hmm. And for him at the time, he didn't have his visa. So he heard the immigration police were coming, and he had to hide under a bin so he doesn't get caught. And of course, that was really crazy. That was weird. And he stayed there for a bit, and just not to be caught.
Been there, done that.
So what would that be for you?
When I was in Singapore, and I hope I'm not going to rat anybody out, but I was good family friends of ours. They were running a cleaning business, and they had a job to clean the kitchen of a very well-known hotel in Singapore. And for some reason, some of their workers didn't show up. And I was hanging out in their house, and the guy was like, hey, I need somebody to come and help me. I need 2 people to come and help me do this thing to clean up. And I'm like, yeah, I'm free. I'm not doing anything. Why not? And I was not going to get paid. And I was on a student visa, strictly with the no working clause. We went there, we started cleaning, mopping, pouring water on the thing, using brushes to move all the water and all that kind of stuff. And then one of the electricity, I think, fuses tripped. And for some reason, this guy thought it had something to do with immigration. Maybe that's what immigration used to do whenever they raid. They would turn off all the lights. So the guy was like, quickly, go and hide. I'm like, why? Oh, immigration might be here. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Look at me just trying to innocently help somebody, and I'm going to get deported back to Lagos without even, and Singapore is the last place you want to be caught doing that. I was not, and I can say this, I was not going to be paid for that job. I was just helping out, and I ran, and I think probably like your other interview, I was hiding. It was just, the circuit had tripped, that was all. It was nothing to fear. So that kind of stuff. And I did a few of those kind of cleaning jobs with them because they were very good family, friends. Sorry, they were a very good family that looked after me while I was there, and I always helped them as much as I could.
Thank you. Now, what's on the table? Quick one. Do you have any question for me?
What are your goals and aspirations for doing these types of conversations? What are you hoping to achieve? What is...
For me personally, it was a personal thing. I've always wanted to do this. And there's this thing that usually happens each time I started this. I get burnout, or because I do this for work. And if you want to do this for work, and if I want to do a shoot like this, it has to be up to a certain standard. You understand? And in getting to that standard, I realized I'm putting too much effort, too much work, too much money in it. And then, after a while, I lose interest. And so this particular one is me saying to myself, Emmanuel, you must do this. Because I've been wanting to. So it's me saying to myself, I can do this, and I'm doing it. But secondly, which is the most important, it is inspiring other people. You understand that if Nigel could do this, if Kwesi, perfect, could do this, and if Andrea could do this, then you can. Now, sharing this conversation, you realize you're just as regular as every other person. Nothing is different about you. You were born by somebody. You went to primary school, you got kicked out of school. You understand. Even some people who had better stories than yourself, of better upbringing than yourself. And so nothing is really stopping us from achieving great things or venturing into business. You understand? We just need just a little bit of courage and also a little bit of, I guess, testimony from people like you that have done it. And then, boom, perhaps that could encourage someone to want to take the lead. Because personally, I believe for us as a race, very important, and as individuals to achieve success, either financial, personal, or any sort of success, we need to, first of all, damn the consequences and go for it. Perhaps in trying, you will succeed. You understand? And personally, for me, to attain financial freedom, you need to run a business. That is my personal. I cannot be financially free if I don't have a business. And so I'm saying to people, yeah, you're earning X amount every fortnight or every month. What if you could earn more? What if you could do much more with your time than sitting in an office 9 to 5 and then you clock off and then you go home and what next? So that is, for me, one of the most important and one of the reasons why I do this.
Excellent. And I would then ask you, would you know when you're reaching burnout?
I've reached burnout many times.
Okay. And
as you would
know. Do you know what the signs are?
I just get disinterested.
Okay.
You understand? And like you said, maybe mine is different from yours. I could just I'm not taking any of that job.
Yeah.
If I don't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
And it happens, I've done that a few times where I don't feel like working.
Yeah.
And I just take one weekend, I won't do anything. Of course, I won't earn, but yeah.
And what then brings you back to do it again after you've gotten to that stage?
Because I love it.
Good.
Because I love to do it. And that's the reason why. So when I decided to chase or pursue this as a career and as a business, I got to a point where I asked myself, what is this and I love doing that I would do regardless whether I'm being paid or not? Because I don't like monotonous. Like I said, I'm getting paid for doing stuff. The last major job I did, I got paid well. It was a money remittance company. And we made money. We made money. But then it also got to a point where, is this all there is? I'll make money, so what else? Sure. You understand? I needed to be impactful. I needed to see the tangible impact I'm making. That also defines who I am as a person. So that was it. Yeah. You understand? So when I get to that point, burnout, I've seen burnout a whole lot of times. And I know how to manage it now. But also for me as a business, this is a learning curve. Mm-hmm. It has also taught me a whole lot. One of the key things it taught me as well is, like I did ask you, scaling. I can't scale.
Okay, yeah.
Which is an important lesson. Now I know. In the past, I didn't. It was there. It was obvious, but as you grow, you understand many things. So what I've seen I don't understand is I can't scale. So I cannot take on 5 gigs. I can only do 1 gig, max 2 gig, which means my earning capacity is limited. I can't earn above X amount, except I just keep raising my price.
And can you do that?
No, you can't just keep raising your price. It has to be compared with what other people are offering.
Exactly.
You understand? Else, nobody's going to call you. And so for me, then it's now, building other parallel businesses that could then sustain. Yeah. Yeah, that's sustainable rather, yeah.
And I know you're not asking me, but that's one thing I have told myself. I want to have enough passive income for something else that I'm doing, that I can follow my passions without even thinking twice.
Absolutely.
And people always tell you, you should get to a place where you're making money even when you're sleeping. Yeah. My IT business was doing that to an extent. They were paying me regardless of whether they had a problem or not. That's what I did with the retaining model. But then once they had a problem, then I had to be there to fix the problem. So it was not while I was sleeping per se. Sometimes I probably didn't even sleep well because I was upgrading server. So there was that issue. But I guess that's where I would even say, even when people are running, if you're working a 9-to-5 job, you hear all the big financial gurus tell you to go and invest in real estate or invest in something else that will be making money. While you're sleeping. So you're not You're not in the business to work.
Wow.
But of course, there's that passion. My dream job, I was telling my wife the other day, I have a list of what my dream job is. I want to be able to do that job anywhere I am in the world. And probably just work 4 hours a day. That's my dream. You will tell, of course.
Are you looking for a job?
Sorry?
Are you looking for a job?
Are
you still looking for a job?
Sorry, my dream
business or venture?
Money-making venture. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of your viewers will probably think, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. You'll be there for long. But no, people do it.
Yes.
Some people are following their passions crazily, and they can work from anywhere in the world. The world we live in now with IT and internet and 4G and 5G and all that, you can work anywhere in the world. It just depends on what kind of service you're providing to who, and what kind of. And honestly, that's my dream job. 4 days a week, 4 hours every day. I can be anywhere in the world to do that job, and I'll be adding value to whoever I'm providing that service to.
Nigel, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor having you. I never thought we were going to talk for this long, but I still have things I haven't asked. But I'm afraid I'll probably
have an episode 3 or 4. Episode 2.
I'll probably have to get you back at some point to talk more about ministry.
Oh, okay.
We didn't touch that, you notice. Of ministry and everything music, sweet sound production and what next and a lot of stuff. But for now, I'll say thank you for coming. It was a pleasure having you. I enjoyed this conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did as well.
You are most welcome. Yes, I'll be glad to come back again.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.